Hello again, and welcome back to year 4 of the Religious Education Initiative. This is week 36, also Bright Week. Christos Anesti, Christ is risen. As we begin this final third of year 4, we will pause for one more week from our normal narrative readings and return again to the book of Proverbs. This book, written by a father seeking to provide good guidance to his son, and then including other proverbs from the wise, directs all of us to walk the narrow path of faithfulness, avoiding the common temptations and holding fast to the Lord in all things. It is a good reminder of the essential responsibilities of parents to their children and of children to their parents, and of the path that all of us are striving to walk through this life. So this is chapter 22, verse 17, where we begin. The words of the wise: incline your ear and hear my words, and apply your mind to my teaching. For it will be pleasant if you keep them within you, if all of them are ready on your lips, so that your trust may be in the Lord. I have made them known to you today, yes, to you. Have I not written for you 30 sayings of admonition and knowledge to show you what is right and true, so that you may give a true answer to those who sent you? Do not rob the poor because they are poor, or crush the afflicted at the gate, for the Lord pleads their cause, and despoils of life those who despoil them. Make no friends with those given to anger, and do not associate with hotheads, or you may learn their ways, and entangle yourself in a snare. Do not be one of those who give pledges, who become surety for debts. If you have nothing with which to pay, why should your bed be taken from under you? Do not remove the ancient landmark that your ancestors set up. Do you see those who are skillful in their work? They will serve kings, they will not serve common people. When you sit down to eat with a ruler, observe carefully what is put before you, and put a knife to your throat if you have a big appetite. Do not desire the ruler's delicacies, for they are deceptive food. Do not wear yourself out to get rich. Be wise enough to desist. When your eyes light upon it, it is gone, for suddenly it takes wings to itself, flying like an eagle toward heaven. Do not eat the bread of the stingy. Do not desire their delicacies, for like a hair in the throat, so are they. Eat and drink, they say to you, but they do not mean it. You will vomit up the little you have eaten, and you will waste your pleasant words. Do not speak in the hearing of a fool, who will only despise the wisdom of your words. Do not remove an ancient landmark, or encroach on the field of orphans, for their Redeemer is strong. He will plead their cause against you. Apply your mind to instruction, and your ear to words of knowledge. Do not withhold discipline from your children. If you beat them with a rod, they will not die. If you beat them with the rod, you will save their lives from Sheol. My child, if your heart is wise, my heart too will be glad. My soul will rejoice when your lips speak what is right. Do not let your heart envy sinners, but always continue in the fear of the Lord. Surely there is a future, and your hope will not be cut off. Hear, my child, and be wise, and direct your mind in the way. Do not be among wine-bibbers, or among gluttonous eaters of meat, for the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and drowsiness will clothe them with rags. Listen to your father who begot you, and do not despise your mother when she is old. Buy truth, and do not sell it. Buy wisdom, instruction, and understanding. The father of the righteous will greatly rejoice. He who begets a wise son will be glad in him. Let your father and mother be glad. Let her who bore you rejoice. My child, give me your heart, and let your eyes observe my ways. For a prostitute is a deep pit, an adulteress is a narrow well. She lies in wait like a robber, and increases the number of the faithless. Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has strife? Who has complaining? Who has wounds without cause? Who has redness of eyes? Those who linger late over wine, those who keep trying mixed wines. Do not look at wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup and goes down smoothly. At the last it bites like a serpent and stings like an adder. Your eyes will see strange things, and your mind utter perverse things. You will be like one who lies down in the midst of the sea, like one who lies on the top of a mast. They struck me, you will say, but I was not hurt. They beat me, but I did not feel it. When shall I awake? I will seek another drink. Okay, so the wise here, they're getting very real. here in the book of Proverbs. So we have warnings, as we've seen before, against strong drink, against wine, and against sexual sin, against prostitutes and adultery, prostitution and adultery. But going back further, we're talking about discipline, and there are a few points that I think bear discussion. First of all, the vivid image of the desire of the stingy, the people who are just trying to accumulate things. It says that they're like a hair in the throat, that they'll make you choke. So it's a vivid image and striking, because he doesn't say the bread of the stingy will make you choke. It says that they're like a hair in the throat. So you have to think about that, because we've all had that experience of having something caught in our throat that, we can't clear. And, he's saying this kind of desire will do the same thing to us. So, second, the warning about removing an ancient landmark or encroaching on the field of orphans. This is simply saying, don't steal someone else's property just because you think you can get away with it. There's a strong, a veiled strength to verse 11. For their Redeemer is strong. He will plead their cause against you. Who is the Redeemer of the orphan? Who is the one that will plead the cause of those who cannot defend themselves? Not the king, but God himself. And again, it's a gentle, but a veiled, but a strong warning. Don't do something evil just because it seems like you can get away with it. Especially don't do harm to another human being just because they're weak and you can. Because God is their Redeemer. God is their judge and defender. And that will come back to us. Then finally, we need to talk about this issue of discipline, because to our modern mind, the statement, do not withhold discipline from your children. If you beat them with a rod, they will not die. But if you beat them with the rod, you will save their lives from Sheol. No doubt this is literally what it says. But this is not condoning child abuse. Let's be very, very clear. Certainly those who I do not doubt that abusers have used this as in their defense. But this is rather speaking of the opposite abuse, of withholding discipline, of refusing to establish a line in the sand, a boundary, a rule, and a reality of consequences for our children. The temptation of parenthood is that we protect our children, that we let them do whatever they want. Or rather that we protect them, period. But that can become enabling, permitting them to do whatever they want. And that leads them down the path to the grave. So disciplining them in an appropriate way, not by finding a strong stick and beating them. No, absolutely not. But metaphorically, finding the right consequence, finding the right place to hold the line. And again, this becomes complex, but I want to be clear. This is not saying all you have to do to save your children from Sheol is beat them. No. It is saying if you withhold discipline, if you enable and allow everything that your children want to do, that is worse than if you beat them with a stick. And that's a hard word for us to hear. That doesn't mean beating them with a stick is a good thing. It does mean we can do harm to their souls if we do not hold the line. So again, I don't want anyone saying, Father Anthony said I can beat my kids. No. But also, every parent has an obligation to hold the line with their children, to teach them what is good, and to help them recognize the consequences of what is evil before they are so deep into it that they can't get out. Very rarely, I think, does that actually involve anything physical. It does mean finding ways to let the consequences of our children's mistakes come upon them in a way that they can recognize. And for figuring out what this actually looks like, there is a book that I recommend very highly by Dr. Philip Mamalakis, but that's a whole nother thing. Just these were the points that needed to be addressed. The thing about discipline is not saying beat your children. It is saying do not withhold discipline. To be a parent, to be a father or a mother, there is a responsibility of instruction and discipline and guidance in the way of truth. So anyway, I think that's it for today. God bless you all. We'll see you shortly for Day 2, Christ is risen, Christos Anesti.